It's game day, everyone. Welcome to our Giant pregame show presented by Sherwood Ford. Tyler, producer Liam, and Caroline here with you guys. And Tyler, it took a lot of courage and willpower for you to close that iPad there right now because you are glued to the Masters.
I'm not even worried about the hockey game tonight. I am far more interested in what's going on out at Augusta National. But I will put that aside for the next 20 minutes. I will anxiously anticipate opening up my iPad again and getting to watch the golf. But for now,
yes.
Oilers, big hockey game tonight.
Oh my gosh. I mean, think about this is, we'll get to that in a minute. Right now, 2-1 overtime win against the Sharks. And I just want to talk about one person in particular, Connor McDavid, who is an absolute machine. And I feel like it's clockwork for this guy at this point.
He made that OT winner look so easy. And granted, Mike Smith did the bulk of the work. Yeah. That was a beautiful play by Mike Smith. But McDavid just, the separation he was able to keep between himself and Brent Burns, who is a very good defenseman, was unreal. And then the way he just flips to the backhand and just lobs it right over the pad. It was just like, man, that looked way too easy for Connor McDavid. I talked about this yesterday when I went live, and Kylie pointed out, she was like, maybe it just is that easy for him. And yeah, it kind of feels that way right now for 97.
Honest to God. And it's just, I feel like every single time we see it happen, we almost expect it now, which is what's scary. But some stats for Connor, that OT winner gave Connor 27 points in his 14-game point streak. Also his 13th career OT goal, and now is tied for the most in the NHL since his debut with Brad Marchand, and the third player in Oiler history with 3 seasons of 40 goals and 100 points.
Not bad. He also now leads the NHL in 3-on-3 goals this season, too. So I think like 2 OT winners and 2 big games for McDavid in the last 8 days. This guy's Hart Trophy case is getting more and more interesting by the game.
Mike Smith, you mentioned his assist on the night, 31 saves as well. Maybe we've been sleeping on Mike Smith. Maybe not the best goaltender in the NHL, but maybe one of the best passers in the league.
That was unreal. Like, before the goal even went in, I let out a yell when Mike Smith just did that because, one, nervous it wasn't going to work, but absolutely perfect draw weight on that pass. Met up with McDavid at the exact right moment, and they don't even that game doesn't go to OT if it's not for Mike Smith. Like you said, making the saves that he did. He was huge down the stretch for them as well. That was his best game of the season, I think. Pass aside, stopping 31 of 32 for the second straight game, making the saves when he did as well. It was a great game by Mike Smith, and I think he's starting to earn back the confidence of Oilers fans. I'm obviously not going to say it's all the way there, but it's getting there.
Well, it's interesting you say that. And Oilers fans, my chat's empty right now, so please flood it right now with this question. Is Mike Smith now considered the guy once again after that performance, because he is getting the start tonight against the LA Kings?
It's interesting because we know Mikko was battling, some sort of illness or whatever. He was under the weather for a few games. Mike Smith took that opportunity. He absolutely ran with it, getting the starts against Anaheim and San Jose. I'm not willing to go as far as labeling him the guy right now. If tonight was game 1 of the playoffs, I would still be going back to Mikko Koskinen. There just, again, isn't a big enough sample size of consistently playing well. I haven't gotten that from Mike Smith yet. I'm not saying he can't get there. 2 weeks ago, I would have told you he can't get there. I'm starting to maybe warm up to the idea that it's possible. Over the last 11 games, Mike Smith wins back this job. Right now, though, I would still go with Koskinen. I see Scott Aroni says no, he can't be trusted. Kylie says no. So my chat is still pro Mikko. What's yours saying?
Don, I just love a straight up answer. Don says no. Alex says tonight makes me nervous. Possible first round preview tonight. Don also says I think Koski's still the man, and I agree with that. I think for me tonight, watching Mike Smith play and his performance will matter a lot because he's coming off of a really hot game. So how he plays tonight will matter to me. But for now, my trust and my confidence and my heart is still with Mikko Koskinen.
Yeah, and I think that's a totally fair angle to have, and I think that clearly is a way a lot of the Oilers are feeling, or a lot of Oilers fans are feeling.
Christian, Mike Smith is not, in fact, the guy. So I don't know. I feel like this is 100% of the sample size right now is saying Mikko Koskinen check.
But we'll see. Like, again, I think if Mike... The ball is in his court clearly right now because, like you said, he's getting the start again tonight against LA. If he plays well tonight, if he stops or has a .950 or above save percentage again, how do you not sit there as an Oilers fan and start to kind of think, like, okay, we've seen Mike Smith during his time with the Oilers go on runs where for 10 to 15 games he's unreal. maybe this is the start of one of those runs. Scott Aroni brought up a good point too. Smith was hobbling a little bit at the end of the game, so I still think it's important. They're yelling about something outside, and I know it's Masters related, and I'm going to go absolutely bananas if I don't find out what's happening. Anyways, they need to stop because that's distracting. But I think the conversation starts to happen again, and down the stretch, if Mike Smith's banged up and he's hobbled, maybe he's only playing at 90% right now. We know Mikko doesn't do well with a huge workload. I think it's important, no matter who you think will be the guy game one of the playoffs, you need to split up the workload down the stretch here.
Oh my God, how bad are you itching right now?
I know, I'm losing
Someone send Tyler an update. Let him know what's going on. This is so funny. All right, let's talk about the playoff picture, because a lot of people in the chat right now, Haley mentions a good point, saying tonight is a huge game and a probable first round preview. A solid win against the Sharks. Vegas lost 5-1 to the Canucks last night, which is huge for us. And right now the Oilers are sitting in second position in the Pacific, which is a pretty good playoff spot for them right now.
Well, not only that, they got a game in hand on LA,
yes.
So they're a point up on them with that game in hand. It's huge. If you win tonight and you can be 3 points up on a team with a game in hand, with basically 10 games to go in the regular season, that's massive. And even comparing it to Vegas, who you mentioned, that loss last night is a big, big blow for the Vegas Golden Knights. Edmonton's now 5 up on the Golden Knights with a game in hand. You win tonight, you're 7 up on the Golden Knights. Your magic number at that point would drop down to 14, I believe. Or no, sorry, 18, 16. I think it'd be down to 12 at this point now. Their magic number's dropping quickly, though, is my point.
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, let's just give him some love before the opposition report, scored a massive goal. We talked about him on our last pregame show, how he's a guy you can rely on, that he's a super intelligent player. And also, a lot of Oilers fans were saying the glue that kind of keeps this team together. And we saw that with yet another massive goal from Nuge and scoring in back-to-back games now.
Yeah, back-to-back games and a huge goal in that last game, because first off, games in San Jose are consistently the most boring thing in the world. The camera angle sucks. The starts are always late. The Oilers it never feels like the Oilers have a ton of energy or get up for these hockey games. So that, for 45 minutes of that game, I wanted to poke my eyes out with forks. Like, it just sucked. It was boring. No one had any sort of juice. And then for Nugent-Hopkins to come through and score that goal. We talked about Mike Smith being the reason it goes to OT. That game doesn't go to OT if it's not for the shorthanded effort from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins as well. He's been huge for them, and he's just such an important part of this team. A game where Leon Draisaitl is out, and you're elevating Nuge up to handle more minutes at 5-on-5, but still contribute on the PK, still contribute on the power play. He finds a way to come through and produce and be effective, and I can't say enough good things about 93.
I love it. Chris says, update on golf is boring. Focus on hockey. And Will says, I don't remember the last time I cheered for the Canucks. Good to see Vegas lose. And then Chris says, I just want to see a Canadian team win the cup this year. All right, Chris, answer me in the chat. What if it was the Toronto Maple Leafs? Would you still want a Canadian team to win the cup? All right.
Or the Flames. Like, again, I've never understood the angle of like, oh, no, I want the cup to come home to Canada. Like, those are the Oilers' direct rivals. As an Oilers fan, I don't want to see the Flames win the cup. I don't want to see the Leafs win the cup. Everyone else is a little bit irrelevant, but I wouldn't want the Winnipeg Jets to win the Stanley Cup this year. I don't know. That's just my take on it.
I love it. All right. Our opposition report presented by the delicious Yeg Burger. Obviously, the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers are neck and neck in the division. The Oilers having a slight advantage, having played one less game than the Kings. Tyler, as you mentioned, LA's coming off of a 3-2 loss on Monday to the Flames. Anze Kopitar still leading this team with 61 points on the season. And Tyler, a tough road game, but the boys can get this one done.
Yeah, they can. They proved 8 days ago they can beat the LA Kings. Granted, you would love for this one tonight to be 2 points in regulation to really increase that gap, but they've shown they can beat the Kings. The Kings have been playing, fairly average recently, 5-3-2. That's pretty much bang on 500 in today's NHL. 5 wins, 5 losses. They've been okay. They put up a lot of shots. They're a pretty good team at 5-on-5. The concern maybe is that they're starting to get a little bit healthier, but as you can see here, the Oilers have kind of, in a way, had their way with the LA Kings. So I'm not super worried about tonight. I do want to tell you, though, there's new items of the month up at Yeg Burger. The burger of the month for April is the Pesto Provolone Chicken Burger.
Whoa.
They are doing wild stuff over at Yeg Burger, and their milkshake of the month, with Easter around the corner, the Cadbury Mini Egg Milkshake.
Would you
That's
ever
elite.
Would you ever eat a milkshake in the same sitting?
Yo, absolutely.
I
don't even hesitate.
You don't
I'm
worry
all over
about
it.
those two meshing?
No,
What happens to your stomach?
Nothing. Iron.
Are you human?
Unreal. I would crush that. Pesto chicken burger, forget about it. Emad's cooking up good stuff down
Oh
at
my God.
Yegg Burger.
Well, one day we need to have one of these burgers on the show, hey? We can see
That should be our celebration when
Yes.
the Oilers clinch.
Yes, okay, we'll do that with
Yegg
Yegg Burger. All right, let's get into the lines for the LA Kings.
Yeah, let's dig into it here. You mentioned that top line led by Anze Kopitar. They do a lot of damage for the LA Kings. Alex Iafallo's on the left side. What a year for Adrian Kempe. He's now up to 31 goals on the season. The second line is great as well. Philippe Deneau, the shutdown center. Victor Arvidsson and Trevor Moore on his wings. The former second overall pick, Quentin Byfield, 3 goals in his last 10 games. He's with Gabe Viardi and Rasmus Kupari, the third line that rhymes, as I pointed out on the last pregame show against LA. Elias Anderson with Arthur Kaliev and Carl Grundstrom is the fourth line. Grundstrom was one of the 3 stars of the game when the Oilers last met the LA Kings. Tobias Bjornfoot and Sean Dursey, Ollie Matta with Jordan Spence, Alex Edler with Troy Stetcher. So they're getting a little healthier, but LA still missing a lot of key pieces on that blue line in Mikey Anderson, Matt Waugh, Drew Doughty, Sean Walker, still basically missing 4 of their top 5 D-men. Between the pipes tonight for the LA Kings, we are expecting it to be Jonathan Quick, 2.66 goals against average, 909 save percentage on the year. But since January 1st, again, as I pointed out last week, Quick has not been very good. His save percentage is below 890, well below league average. He's been wildly inconsistent as of late. He's given up 3 goals in back-to-back starts.
Crazy. All right, how about for the Edmonton Oilers, and is Draisaitl back?
Well, our boy Gene Principe sent out a tweet earlier today saying that Draisaitl is skating and looks set to go. When asked about Leon potentially returning to the lineup, Oilers head coach Jay Woodcroft didn't confirm, said he looked good at morning skate, and said, quote, anytime you can add a 50-goal, 100-point man to our lineup, that's to our advantage. So if Draisaitl comes in, expect him back on that second line with Hyman and with Kyler Yamamoto. Expect the top line to stay the same, although the top line probably had their worst game as a trio against San Jose. So I think Jay Woodcroft would be wise to put Puljujarvi back down on the third line. I've been harping for that for a while. I think Puljujarvi, Nuge, and Brassard would be a great third line. Looks like they're going to stick with Nuge, with Cassian and Brassard. And then the fourth line, likely going to be McLeod, Fogle, and Derek Ryan. The deep pairings for the Oilers, as always, it's consistent. It's Nurse and Ceci, Keith and Bouchard, Kulak and Barry, and the man Mike Smith, 41, getting the start.
Crazy. All right. Now, I know you have a lot of money down on the Masters, but I have a feeling you're still going to put some money down on the Oilers tonight.
Yes.
So tell everyone your bet of the game presented by PointsBet.
Yeah, let's look at it. Also, PointsBet live in Ontario. So if you're an Oilers fan in Ontario, download their app. It is fantastic stuff.
Or if you're a Leafs fan watching the Oilers pregame show, do the same thing.
We always have one. There's one in the Twitch chat. It's like Marner Fan 16. He's always tuning in. So Marner Fan 16, download PointsBet.
Marner also had a really good game the other day. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
The Oilers are favorites in this hockey game, minus 131 on the money line, as you can see there. They are also plus 110 in regulation, plus 180 on the puck line. If you like Leon Draisaitl to score tonight in his return to the lineup, it is paying out minus 106. Or maybe you like Connor McDavid to keep his goal streak going in this hockey game. He has scored in, 5 in a row, 6 in a row? What's the actual number there? I think it is 5 in a row for Connor McDavid, 6 goals in that span. McDavid to score tonight, plus 115. You're getting a plus money payout on that. I do like that. I also really like the Connor McDavid shot prop in this hockey game. And as Bag Milk pointed out to me in the office before, LA likes to shoot everything on net. LA's outshot the opposition in 3 of their last 4. They've also seen the over in their shot total for the game hit in 3 of their last 4. So taking over 63.5 shots on goal in this hockey game feels like a good bet as well.
I love it. All right, what's your chat saying?
Scott Aroni, if Gene did not put the tweet into a rhyme or pun, then Leon is not playing. So he's reading into that Gene tweet a little bit. We did hear before the Sharks game that Draisaitl was trending in the right direction of playing, and then he didn't. So they're taking it slow with Leon. I think that's the right approach. Like, yes, you're still in a playoff push. The playoffs feel like they're likely going to happen, though. I don't want to rush Leon, though. I think they're playing this right.
No, I mean, Leon, you'd want Leon healthier more towards the playoffs than right now anyways. And I know that the Rocket Richard is obviously in his sights, but the most important thing is having a healthy Leon Draisaitl to help this team have a strong run for the Stanley Cup.
Tyler's still young enough he could digest styrofoam from Electronic Jordan. I mean, I wouldn't want to try. What else do we
Apparently,
get
guys, I see everyone saying my mic's cutting out.
Yeah, Yeah, I think we're having a tech issue today when we switch to graphics, but we'll deal with that because it hasn't been an issue before. It's our first show back in studio in like a week and a half, so we're still working out the kinks once again.
Sorry, guys. Yes, next show it'll be better.
It's going to be a really tight game tonight for the Oilers. Like again, this is a playoff-like atmosphere. When you look at the way this Pacific Division is shaping up, this is very likely their first-round opponent in the LA Kings. The Oilers have had their way with them this season. Tonight's still a chance to make a big statement. Go out on the road and get a big 2 points. And again, when you look at the way the Oilers' schedule shapes up coming forward here, like things are going to get dicey for them. You got to play Colorado on Saturday. You got to go mini, Nashville, Vegas, Dallas, Colorado again. It's a tough stretch coming up. And this is something we talked about a lot during the season. Win the games that you're capable of winning, and they've been doing a great job of it as of late, and you won't have losing streaks. You got a stretch coming up, 6 very, very tough matchups. Win tonight. This is a team you've shown you can beat before. If you win tonight, the chances of going on a 2 or 3 game losing streak, they really go down because, again, you're not dropping those easier matchups. And LA, they've been up and down recently. It's a winnable game for the Oilers tonight. I think if you're an Oilers fan, you feel confident.
The thing I'm looking forward to the most is seeing what Mike Smith does in between the pipes. I know I'm not alone there, so we will all see that happen at 8:30 p.m.
I hate these 8:30 starts
I'm
so
sorry,
bad.
I'm sorry.
I think
that gives you room to watch the Masters.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. I think this is their last 8:30 start. Actually, the start times for the rest of the year are pretty good. 8:30 tonight, 8 o'clock on Saturday against Colorado, Hockey Night in Canada. Then after that, they don't start later than 7 all season. So thumbs up for the early start crowd. We're grind through one more here.
All right, everyone. This has been your Giant pregame show presented by Sherwood Ford, and we'll see you next game day.